that. Okay, a couple things. I'll try to talk real fast as we go through this. Number one, and these are training meetings. Training means you don't know, we're trying to teach you how to do it. Okay, so don't always think we're harping on you or anything else like that. This is training. When you're in school, you don't know something and they're teaching you it. That's what this is, teaching you it. Okay, number one, policy. You all have to know policy. No earbuds, headphones, or anything that you're listening to other than your helper or your technician or the customer are allowed in customers' homes. Okay, I had a complaint this week about earbuds being there. Earbuds, you're not to be listening to anything else. You're to be concentrating on your job. Riding from one job to another, I don't care. I'm not going to say I don't care what you do, but I don't care if you listen to it or not. My first helper, okay, he loved music that I didn't like. All right, and when we were driving from one job to another, he had his headphones on, he listened to it, that was great. But not in a customer's house. The customer said they had to ask him something several times and they'd take the earbuds out in order to hear what the customer says. That's not professional. Okay, we don't want it. Earbuds, anything related to that, or any kind of listening devices in a customer's house are not policy. What's the next one?
Backpacks.
Backpack. Also, backpacks are not allowed. You can take your lunch in a plastic disposable bag, okay, that gets thrown away. Every policy we have is for a reason, okay? Backpacks are not allowed. You leave them here or whatever on that. You're not allowed with them on the truck. Take your lunch, disposable bag, you throw it away. Drinks, you want something to drink? I always took a gallon jug, froze it, and I had good, nice, cold water. There's nothing better to drink when you're out there working than water. Sodas and everything else are not that good for you. Okay, water is the best thing.
Text equipment to Janine, don't take pictures.
Okay, Janine said to text the equipment when you're going doing a moisture reading and you go in there to text the equipment to her. In other words, 4 fans, number such and such, the dehumidifier, whatever it is. And look, if you're using voice text, look at your text before it goes to make sure it's correct on that. Do not take a picture of the sheet and send it to her. Okay, that does not come out very well, enough for her to read it. The equipment numbers are all down at the bottom. She says a lot of times it gets cut off or just can't read it. Okay, when you come back, you scan that, and I think you do whatever you're supposed to do with it. But text equipment to her, the numbers, right while you're there. Don't forget before you leave to do that.
The top incidents.
Okay, want to go over the top incidents. All right. We are, as you notice, there's more incidents coming in. I've been looking at these grades, and I've been listening to complaints of, management, office, and everything. This person's not doing this. This person's not doing this. I don't have notes on the ticket. I don't have this. I don't have that. I said, did you write an incident? Well, no. Okay, so we're not graded on a curve. I'll pay a good technician $16 an hour, an A technician, pay a B, 15, a B plus, 15.50 plus commission. And if you're a good technician, doing your selling out there, getting requests and everything else, you should be making about $17 to $18 an hour, which is not bad money. Okay, so going back, we're looking at what I put together as the top 10, or what do you think the top 10 is? What do you think the number 1 incident is?
Apparently speed.
Say it loud so I can hear you.
Apparently speed.
That may come to be the next loudest one because we're monitoring that very carefully. Okay, number 1, speeding is against the law. Number 2, speeding is against our policy. No company has a policy that says you can exceed the speed limit. It is against the law. Our name, phone number, and everything else is on those trucks. They're $70,000. I don't want them in accidents. So first safe thing to do is to follow the speed limit. So yeah, okay. I don't know if that's number 1 though. Might be. What else? Who else?
Calling in.
Huh?
Calling in.
Calling in? Yeah, we hear that a lot. Oh, last month and the month before. Now we're really keeping track on it. Remember, you get a yes or no. You either get 400 or you get 0 points. One or the other. 2 people the month before, 2 people last month, and guess what? Go ahead, guess. They were saying 2 people. Okay? Same two people. So calling in, yeah, you're gonna see that. We're not giving instant. I mean, I probably will start if we don't get it under control. If you guys don't start calling in, okay, instead of just 0 yes, I'm gonna start giving incident reports for not calling in. We must call in. It's our policy. You must call in. We may have an estimate for you to do 2 blocks down the road. We tell the customer, yeah, as soon as he gets done that job or his last job or whatever, on the way back, you're out in Westminster, maybe it's in Finksburg, so we want you to stop by there on the way back, pick up some equipment, do a moisture reef, a lot of different things. We need you to call in, okay? What else? That's how many so far? 3, okay? Huh?
That's 2.
2, just calling in, and notes.
Speeding.
And speeding, that's 3. Okay.
We didn't
All
say-
right, learn how to count. Number 4. I didn't say,
We didn't say
We,
no.
we didn't say
Thank you.
notes yet.
we didn't say notes?
So ha ha ha.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. What do you think another one is?
No.
Oh, very good. You guys are just so smart here today. Yeah, notes. There's supposed to be notes on what tickets?
Oh.
All tickets. Mary Ann is looking at them. If there's no notes on there, it's an incident report. A technician puts notes, B technician puts notes. I hope C technician puts notes on their tickets. E, F, do not put notes on their tickets. You gotta put notes on the tickets. The first thing we look at when a customer calls the complaint or we get a bad report card comes back, we look at the notes. This week, had a customer call, okay? They weren't home when the job was done. It was the son that was home or whatever. They went out there, they cleaned the carpet. The woman called Christine at the end of the day, or after she got home, or sent her an email, I think it was, and then called the next day. Email that she got home, there was a horrible smell in her house. Just an absolutely horrible smell in her house. She was complaining about it. So, of course, guess who gets to call her the next day? I love making these calls. Okay, call her. I have to call her the next day. You know, they all put it to me. Call her, call her, call her. So I got to call her. Woman's upset. You know, we did I think it was close to a 400-hour job there. And she's upset. She said, you've cleaned my carpets before and never had a problem with it. Okay, so I called her, got to listen to. First thing I did before calling her was what? Look for notes. And guess what? No notes. Not a note in there. Call, left the message for the technician. Technician was off that day. Call, left the note for the technician. Now the funny thing about it is I called at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Because, you know, I don't want to wait. My idea, if there's something I don't like to do, I do it and get it over with. Okay, not waiting, putting it off or whatever. I just do it and get it over with. Then it's done. Okay? I called that technician. That technician happened to also be the alternate that day. Couldn't get a hold of him. Couldn't get a hold of him. Called at 8, called at 9, called at 10. Couldn't get a hold of him. Finally, they called me back about 11:30, but by that time, it's too late. I already called the customer. Okay, called the customer. She said she came home, horrible smell in the house. Didn't know what it was. Talked to her a little bit. You have any pets? Oh, yeah, I got pets. And yeah, there were some pet stains. Was there any pet? Yeah, there were some pet stains that, you know, they look all right. They didn't come up, but it's a horrible smell. She told me first it smelled like ammonia. What's in urine? Ammonia. Yeah, so probably a good thing. You know, probably a good. She said, yeah, there's pet stains. I didn't expect all of them to come up. They never come up, but this horrible smell smelled like ammonia. Next day I said, is it still there? No, she said it's gone. Is the carpets dry? Yeah, they're pretty much dry. Do they look clean? Yeah, they're pretty clean, but it was a horrible odor. I said, well, the only thing I can imagine is, you know, there's pet stains were caused by something. That maybe the moisture reacting to the ammonia in the carpet made it come up until it dried and went down. It was like, okay, so she was kind of satisfied with that. But what kind of notes should have been in there?
Pet stains.
Pet stains. Yeah, pet stains on carpet. No notes. And if nothing else, no notes. Finally, when I talked to the technician, I said, did you notice any odor? No, didn't notice any. Did you notice pet stains? Yeah, there was so many pet stains in the park. Why do you make the note? Okay, what's next?
I want to make a side note.
Yeah, side note.
Sometimes we get there and the customer's not there. Has that ever happened? customer's not there, someone else let you in, sibling, child, housekeeper, whatever. You know, you always have to have a note about something, whether it's some kind of staining or not. You might not necessarily know it's a pet stain unless you can see that it's yellow or something. You know, sometimes when they clean them up, especially if it's a higher number than one, it just looks dark. But what are some ways that we can kind of determine whether it might be a pet stain? Something simple, using deductive reasoning. Anything.
Call the customer.
You can call the customer. All right, with that, yes, Freddie.
You see the animal.
You see a pet, right?
Wow, that is a good, Freddie.
You see a pet, that could be one, right? What else? What if you don't see a pet? Along those lines. Sorry?
Smell.
Smell? Yep. Would you say point? Signs of a pet. Yeah, pet toys. If someone still has pet toys in their house, either they're emotionally distraught over the loss of a pet, you can't get rid of the pet toys, or there's pets somewhere, right? And what's the final thing along those lines? Hair, right? And you might not see pet hair in the main areas because maybe they vacuum it, but you might see it around the edges of the walls or under furniture or something like that. So, using your reasoning, you can say something like, hey, you know, clean the area, there were several spots, not sure if it was pet stains or not, customer wasn't available to speak to, but I did see signs of an animal or something like that. You know, you can see dog toys or animal hair or something like that, so that kind of help prevent that. You know, we understand if a customer's not there, they might not be able to say, this spot right here is a pet stain, but you know, you gotta be able to think outside of the box and you know, use your reasoning.
Okay, what's another incident? Okay, let's back up on this one. If you were, that last thing we just talked about, if you were me, what incidents would you have written on that, John?
Not being available while an alternate.
Number one, not being available as an alternate. Yeah, that's an incident. You're supposed to be available. The outcome of that is that person's going to have to come in every day, that the next time they're on the alternate, to prove that they can come in and be an alternate. So yeah, that's number one. Thank you, Ty. Okay, the rest of you wouldn't have done that. That's why you're not me. Okay, we want to get good technicians, coaches of teams, make their players practice and strive for the best. And if they're not the best, we'll put somebody else in there. Okay, there's going to be a lot of players cut from the Ravens within the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. A lot of them cut. Okay, looking at them now, performance. Okay, what's the other incident you would have done?
Communicating effectively with the customer.
How about notes?
Yeah, we did. We said notes.
No, on that, he said the incident. I said, what incidents would you have done on that last job? He said, not being available for alternate. Okay, what's the next one? What other incident would be written on that job?
Notes.
Huh?
Notes.
Notes. There you go. Thank you, Tom. Okay, notes. No notes. Incident. Yeah, you're supposed to write notes on what tickets? All tickets. Supposed to be available for alternate. A technicians would do notes on all tickets. A, B technicians would be available for alternate if they need to be alternate. Okay, that was how many? 5? Okay, you had a little problem coming up with that. That's the top ones. Okay, what's the rest of them I had there we didn't mention?
Red light camera.
Red light camera. Yeah, we get them. You pay for them. That's why I got the GPS. We know who's driving. It's deducted from your sound. It's against the law to go through a red light. If you want to fight it, we're not. We get it. We got to pay it. We're not fighting it. If you want to fight it and go downtown, spend your time down there fighting it, and if it gets turned away or reduced or whatever, we'll refund you the rest of the amount of money. What else?
Toll violations.
Toll violations. Yeah, when you pull up to the toll, number one, that thing has to be in the window correctly so it can read. How do you know it read it?
It says paid.
Huh?
It says paid.
Paid. Or green light or something like that. There's some kind of indication that said it read it. Okay? If you go through there and it didn't read it, all right, you better text a message to Gene right away. All right? Well, if something's wrong with that or whatever like that, you make note of it, we get it or whatever like that. We can say you went through there, had it in there, text me right away. What's another one?
Butler forms.
Butler forms. Butler forms. It's the policy to turn them in every day before you leave here, filled out correctly. Okay, not just put your name on one and boom, in there. They also go in the drop box all the time, during the week, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, in there through the drop box. What else we got?
No backwash.
No backwash. Yeah, I see that gets deducted $25. Okay, backwash. You must do a maintenance cycle on a vehicle every week. It's called keeping your axe sharp. What else?
Waivers.
Waivers. Yeah, not having waivers in it. You'll get an incident for that, right? And if you don't do a waiver, you're not only going to get an incident, but we're going to sit down and talk. Because if you don't do a waiver, that might be the sofa, the area rug, $10,000 area rug, $5,000 sofa set that you did damage to, and we got to pay for it. So we will sit down and have a conversation. That is a very serious not getting a waiver, very serious incident. What else? Anything?
The last one, missing things like vents or stains, things like that.
Yeah, missing stuff. You know, they didn't do this while they were here. They didn't do this. They did this. They did that. Just missing, doing the job correctly, missing. How many we got?
We have 9.
9. Okay, so that's 9. I hope you wrote them all down. Okay, I hope you wrote them all down, because I want every technician to send me by email, number 1, to prove you got your email and you're looking at it, the HydroClean email, technicians, those that we went down, because I know you wrote them all down. Okay, if you don't send that to me, we're going to sit down and talk. Okay, I want you to send me those that we did, because we are supposed to be taking notes. What else I got on there? Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, just real quick. I got 4 minutes. If I go in overtime, it's a little bit more. How many of you watched the last Thursday's game? Anybody? Ravens game? None of you guys are Ravens fans in here? No Ravens fans?
One watched it.
One watched it? How many Ravens fans we got in here? Couple? Okay, Jonathan Ogden. Jonathan Ogden, was he good? Yeah,
He was good. That's an
he was real good. I talked to his father one time. He sat on the sofa down at the Ravens Stadium in the room with all the family and all. Got a chance to talk to him. You know what he wanted to do? He wanted to be a shot put. That's what he loved to do. Be a shot put, throw shot put. He's really good in college, throwing that, but he couldn't make a living though, shot put. He made a pretty good living as an offensive tackle. Yeah, Ray Lewis was inducted into the Hall of Fame. I was kind of listening to the game on the radio, and then I really kind of picked up on this, but the next morning I really picked up on it, and then I looked it up. Ray Lewis was interviewed during the game. Came into the booth. Who's the announcers for the Ravens that does the game calling? Jerry Sandusky and Dennis Pitta. Ray Lewis and Dennis Pitta played together. They're pretty good friends, really good friends. And they interviewed Ray, talking to him about going into the Hall of Fame and everything. I was kind of listening to that. It was kind of a lot of interesting stuff. I could go off on a lot of the things he said. But toward the end of it, Jerry Sandusky said to him, he said, Ray, and I got the tape, if any of you want to listen to it, maybe I'll email it to you, because I got it, I think, where I can forward it to you. You can listen. You need to listen to that. Because Jerry Sandusky said, Ray, you know what? You had a great career. You were blessed with a lot of talent from God and, all this kind of stuff. And, just went through a whole list. And at the end of it, Ray Lewis said to him, he said, Jerry, well, I'll agree with everything you said, except for the fact that I was totally blessed with a lot of talent from God. He said, yes, I did. God gave me talent. But let me tell you when that talent came by. Number one, when I was in high school, I wasn't that great of an athlete. I was not the one that when they picked teams, that I was the first one chose. I was kind of somewhere along the middle. I wasn't that great of a champion, an athlete. Pop Warner, I was okay, but I wasn't anything really great. And then there's a time came into my life with a lot of things happening. He came from a poor family. Lived in Florida. He had an opportunity to go to the University of Miami. He was receiving one of the last scholarships that they were going to hand out this year. But his family and all was moving to Tennessee. He went to Tennessee with his family his last year of high school when he had this scholarship to go. But his mother sat down with him and said, Ray, if you want to go back, here's $35. That's all the money I have for you. You can stay with your aunt. $35 didn't even buy the bus ticket. I don't know where he didn't come up with, where he came with the money, but he went back, lived with his aunt, and he went to college. And something came together for him then. That if I want to be successful in life, I'm going to have to do some things that nobody else wants to do. And he started at the University of Florida State. Miami State. Miami. Miami's not a state, is it? Miami, University of Miami. And he realized that he could start watching films of the other players. So he studied those films and he said, Jerry, let me tell you what happened. 2 things before God gave me the talent came through. Number 1, I learned the science of the game. What is the science of the game? What is it? What does it mean to you? With Ray Lewis says, I learned the science of the game. What did he do?
You learn to win.
He learned the plays. How did he learn that? He watched hours and hours of play tape. He knew his opponent really good, better than any of the other linebackers, any other ones in the league, probably any better than anybody else on that field. He knew his opponent. Started in college because that's when game tapes came available. He learned them. He spent more hours watching tapes than most guys spend on practice. Science. He learned the science of the game. Number 2, he said, I learned to train and to work hard. Train and work hard. I guarantee you there was no harder person to work. What was Ray Lewis's body fat? 7%. 7% body fat, I once heard. How do you get that? Not just diet, but that's a lot of training. He wasn't the biggest linebacker. He wasn't that tall for being a linebacker. But I tell you, he was built like a truck. So he learned the science of the game, and he learned to work hard. He said once that happened, the God-given talent started to come through. How many of you watched his induction speech? Anybody? And who saw him that whole last weekend somewhere on TV? Anybody see him? Anybody see? There was interviews all over the place. You guys are really great Ravens fans. Okay? Let me tell you something. He looks as in good condition today as he did when he walked off that field. He could probably put a uniform on now and outplay 50% of the linebackers in the league. I'll just close with one more thing. They asked him, this was another interview. They asked him. He said, Ray, when was the wow moment? Dennis Pitta asked him this. Ray, when was the wow moment that you all of a sudden realized that I might be something special? I might have a shot at the Hall of Fame. He said it was in his first Pro Bowl game. And I can't remember the names of the players he was calling. First Pro Bowl game. He was still, I don't know if it was his rookie year, but it was his first or second year. It was pretty young time when he became a Raven. Okay, he said when he was there, he talked to a famous lineman. Okay, that he was going to play against, offensive lineman that he was going to line up against. Their famous name. And the guy said to him, he said, "Hey Ray, this is your first Pro Bowl. Congratulations, way to make it to the league." He said, "Let me ask you this: do you really think you're going to beat me to the quarterback?" Ray just looked at him and he said, "Yeah, I think I can." He said, "What makes you think you can?" Ray said to him, "I've studied your tapes. I know every move you make, and I can anticipate everything you do by looking in your eyes." That's basically what he said to him. That offensive lineman kind of backed up a little bit. He said, "Hey," and he called over some of his other playmates that were there. He said, "Come over here. I want to introduce you to somebody. This is Ray Lewis. This is his first time in a pro game. Let me tell you something, guys. One day he's going to be in the Hall of Fame." It was that moment that Ray Lewis realized that, hey, I might have something here. I might have a shot at it. Did he? The science of the game, in other words, learning your job inside and out, knowing everything that you can know about there. He spent a lot of time when he come home watching TV, when he'd been doing a lot of other things. Bet you he came in early, stayed late, whatever, nights, weekends, whatever like that. He watched them tapes to learn the science of the game. And there was no harder trainer than Ray Lewis. Nobody trained as hard as Ray Lewis. And he was in the Football Hall of Fame. You may not ever be in the Carpet Hall of Fame, Carpet Cleaners Hall of Fame, but one day, whether it's here or it's working someplace else, you know, you're going to be accountable to your family, to your relatives, to somebody about your performance over your lifetime. I hope you make it in their Hall of Fame. I hope you make it in your wife's Hall of Fame. I hope you make it in your kids' Hall of Fame. That's all I have for today.